education, employment, accessibility, independent living, and political participation, innovative practices, and innovative policies. A network of civil society.
If you see me, take me just the way I am. We could change the world because we understand. If we both are part of the same society, I could be me. Zero barriers, zero walls, zero borders, zero bombs, zero limits. By reaching our aim, zero project, the dignity of man.
If you give me chances and take me by the hand, if you let me grow and if you let me be, if we all gave up our partiality, then I could be free.
Zero barriers, zero walls, zero borders, zero bombs, zero limits. Reaching our end, zero project, dignity of men. Innovative practices and innovative policies. A network of civil society. Zero walls, zero borders, zero bombs, zero limits. By reaching our aim, zero project, zero barriers, zero
Clap your hands. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on. Hello. 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 Woo! And the crunch can shut down. Okay, everybody. How are we all today? Can I hear a shout? Come on. Okay, thank you for the music. Here we go. You are all really welcome. You are all really welcome. Today, for those of you who have never been to a Zero conference, you are so welcome. 3 days of imagination, of energy, of heart, of guts, of humanity and connection. For those of you who are coming back, welcome home. Welcome home. For those of you who have never met me before, and for our community online, we welcome you hugely as well. You may not be in the room with us, but you are here with us in spirit. My name is Caroline Casey, and I have the honor every year, I'm still here, the lines on my face will tell you how old I am, to moderate this conference. I am a Zero project and conference ambassador with many others. I am Irish, as you can hear, and a bit of audio description for everyone online. I am a 52-year-old white woman, as I say, the lines on my face. I have blonde hair, thick black framed glasses, and I'm wearing a very green checkered suit with purple shoes. Green is for Zero. This is our color. It is the color of also heart and the color of growth. And today is the color of love. As I walked in today, this morning, I met one of the participants who said, "What do you love about the Zero project? You come back every year and a week of your life. What do you love?" And the first thing is, I love that I see that we are here together, committed and focused, and everything else seems not to be the thing that we speak about. We speak today for our commitment to create a world of zero barriers where everyone belongs. We see that we are not alone. I love it because I'm feeling the new generation coming along, bringing us their new ideas, infusing us with what they know of the world. I love it because I see our friends. Gales has been created from the Zero project that stretches far and wide global accessibility and inclusion leaders. We have become friends. I love it because it feels possible that we can make this change happen. Every one of us taking accountability for our part, but mostly because we join the dots together. I love it because we leave the ego at the door. That our positions, yes, why we must respect them, are important, but it is our people power in this room. This is about our likeness of being, the rage of the human spirit to belong and be heard and to be seen as themselves, to make and help create a society and a system that is designed for everyone with us. With us. With us. With us. With us. And we know nothing about us without us. but to Yaslaman Rolarosh, who would say, nothing simply without us. So as we move through today, I want to give you some of the important housekeeping arrangements. You're going to see me and hear me a lot calling time. There is our timekeeper, Annette. Will you stand up here for us? Annette is wearing a green t-shirt, and for the speakers, she will hold one finger up to say 1 minute to go. We must start and finish on time because of the live streaming. Please don't hate Annette and I. We will smile. We are nice people. Number 2, you can go on to zeroproject.org for the conference platform. When you land in the website, press the green box at the top and you will have everything that you need to know digitally online. Number 3, the accessibility video for everything in this conference will be played after Martin Essel's speech. Number 4, the green t-shirts to which Annette was displaying with the word volunteer. These people are around and here to help you all the way through your conference. Lastly, I really want to make a huge shout out to our tech team down the back and our translators here up the front. For those of you who are speakers, I'm trying to speak slowly this time. We do need to remember, first, English is not everybody's first language, the first act of inclusion that we need to remind ourselves of. And secondly, we have our translators who are working tirelessly for these 3 days. So can you please give a roar of support for our tech team and our translators as we move through the day. So we begin. And there are rules of the Zero Conference, as everybody knows. We listen with curiosity. If somebody is standing on their own and you don't know them, maybe walk over and ask them, would they like company? We're here to learn from each other and to disagree respectfully. And we're here because we want to be here. We choose to be here, but we're also very lucky to be here. So make the most of these days. And the most important things that happen are often with a hug or a conversation beside a sandwich. But give your head and open your heart and use your imagination. And I thought, as we announced the beginning of this conference, I wanted to read a quote that I hope sets the tone for these 3 days. Just how lucky we are. And it's by Mary Oliver. I don't know, do many of you know Mary Oliver? She was a wonderful poet. And she is known to have said, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I know I certainly stand here hoping with this precious life I have that I can actually leave a mark and do something meaningful. But this is from her poem, Wild Geese. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. The Zero Project 24 is open. Thank you. So we have our plenary, and you can see our wonderful guests on the stage. Our first speaker today is Ghada Wali. Coming back to us for the 4th time, thank you so much, Ghada. She is the Executive Director for the Office of Crime and Drugs in the UN, and the Director General of the UN Office at Vienna. And before she takes the stage, I really want to say, Ghada, our relationship with the UN has been even more meaningful in the last 4 years. It is a true collaboration and a true friendship. And for you coming back every year, and on time is deeply appreciated. A round of applause, please, for the Director General.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Mr. Essl, dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great joy to return this year for the fourth time to open the Zero Project Conference 2024. I've had the pleasure of addressing this conference on 3 occasions on a variety of themes, from fostering inclusive employment in 2021 to supporting accessibility in 2022 to empowering independent living and political participation in 2023. These diverse topics underscore the enduring relevance of the Zero Project in dismantling barriers faced by persons with disabilities worldwide. Having previously served as Minister of Social Solidarity in my country, Egypt, disability inclusion was and continues to be a cause that is very close to my heart. So I was very keen to be part of this initiative, especially as this gathering never fails to infuse me with optimism, inspiration, and positive energy. I would also like to express my heartfelt appreciation to 2 important change makers. To you, Mr. Essl, for your dedication and commitment to relentlessly championing the cause of persons with disabilities through both good times and bad. When you established the Zero Project in 2008, you set in motion a global movement to advance disability rights worldwide, recognizing the glaring inequalities faced by persons with disabilities. The Zero Project has since developed into a powerful force of change. Throughout the years, it has connected over 6,500 experts, professionals, and volunteers from more than 100 countries, including civil society, the private sector, and technology companies. Together, they strive a world where every person with disabilities can thrive. And the second change maker, Ms. Casey, thank you for the energy, passion, and enthusiasm that you bring to these conferences every year. Your work has contributed so much to promoting the rights of persons with disabilities in the private sector. You are not afraid to get up and change the world, no matter how tough it turns out to be. Thank you, Casey, and please give them both a big round of applause. It is also fitting that we are holding this conference here at the Vienna International Center, which is celebrating this year its 45th anniversary. This milestone is an opportunity to reflect on the progress we have made and to highlight the contribution of the United Nations family in Vienna. Looking ahead, the Vienna-based organizations will contribute to play a central role in facilitating multilateral inclusive solutions for a better tomorrow, a topic that member states will discuss at the Summit of the Future later this year. Distinguished participants, the efforts of millions of disability inclusion champions and leaders like yourselves have had a palpable impact on our world. Today, I can confidently say that we have indeed come a long way since the UN first hosted this conference more than 10 years ago. 186 countries have ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Over 90% of signatories have adopted national disability laws. 80% of states parties prohibit discrimination in hiring persons with disabilities, while the number of schools with inclusive materials for students with disabilities has almost tripled, from 17% in 2013 to 47% in 2021. And last year in New York, member states adopted a landmark declaration at the SDG Summit, which, among other things, called for the full and effective participation of persons with disabilities in all spheres of life. This progress reflects the world's recognition of your rights as persons with disabilities. But the work is far from over, and we must keep striving for greater inclusivity in the face of growing global divides and challenges. There are over 1.3 billion persons with disabilities worldwide, yet 80% of them live in developing countries. The divide between North and South is only widening. Even as advances in technology as artificial intelligence unleash a new wave of innovation in education, access to healthcare, and assistive tools in developed countries. This year's theme on education and ICT underscores the urgency of harnessing technology for the collective benefit of all. And I encourage you to use this opportunity over the next couple of days to explore practical ways to find new, innovative solutions and to learn from one another. This is needed more than ever. And I'm speaking to you today at a more somber time than previous years, as we meet in the shadow of wars, including one in my own region and another one at Europe's doorstep. People with disabilities are too often the invisible and forgotten victims of conflict and violence, finding themselves sidelined from emergency responses and humanitarian relief efforts. According to the UN Mine Action Services, armed conflicts account for 16% of disabilities, creating additional hurdles for people with disabilities in accessing protective and essential services, including healthcare, shelter, and psychological support. In short, wars cause disabilities and prevent persons with disabilities from receiving much-needed services. So let's pray for peace. Meanwhile, children with disabilities are disproportionately affected, with more than 240 million children with disabilities in the world and half of them out of school. Without an education, they risk falling deeper into poverty, experiencing economic hardship, social exclusion, and limited access to essential services. Distinguished guests, the Zero Project Conference is a testament to the power of civil society. It connects organizations from around the world to share ideas, develop new solutions, and celebrate the groundbreaking efforts of individuals and organizations dedicated to advancing disability rights. From teaching digital skills to underprivileged girls and women in Nigeria, to supporting children with disabilities in India through accessible ICT devices, to developing new mobile applications to help Ukrainian refugees learn sign language. The breadth and diversity of projects that we are celebrating today is truly inspiring, with over 70 initiatives from 43 countries. Above all, these awards underscore the indispensable role of civil society in working directly with communities, families, and grassroots organizations. The UN Office at Vienna and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime are your allies in these efforts, providing a forum to connect you and your ideas directly to policymakers to create the change that is needed. In 2022, I pledged to champion disability inclusion in all our activities, a commitment that has also been taken by our staff members here at headquarters and in the field. We are working closely with civil society partners to improve accessibility and inclusion of people with disabilities across all our mandate areas. Our conference management services use assistive devices in our conference rooms, while we have adapted our websites and communications to become more inclusive through image descriptions. We also established a network of persons with disabilities in 2022 to promote a culture of understanding and to provide support to our staff members with disabilities. Today, the network counts 54 members and 6 steering groups that promote disability inclusion through accessible schooling, awareness-raising events, external relations, group activities, social security, and communication. And in 2023, I was proud to launch the second edition of the UNODC Action Plan for Disability Inclusion, so that our actions are implemented for, by, and with persons with disabilities under the principle of nothing about us without us. Meanwhile, we are delivering assistance and capacity building in the field to improve accessibility and inclusion. We are amplifying the voices of persons with disabilities and working to protect their rights where they come into contact with the criminal justice system and law enforcement, as well as when they fall victim to crime and violence. In Egypt, for example, where persons with disabilities make up 8% of the population, we are working to ensure victims' access to justice by supporting legislative reform, providing legal aid, and refurbishing courts to make them more accessible. In Thailand, we are organizing regular national consultations on preventing violent extremism with contributions from persons with disabilities as equal partners. In Pakistan, we are collaborating with NGOs to improve access to services and equal opportunities for persons with disabilities in the police and justice sector. And last year in Myanmar, we trained over 40 medical staff to improve healthcare services to persons with disabilities in prisons, which make up 4% of the total prison population in the country. We are committed to promoting disability inclusion across our mandate, guided by the UN's Disability Inclusion Strategy launched in 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, I'm inspired by the enduring resilience shown by persons with disabilities in the face of adversity. I am reminded, too, of a quote by the actor Roy J. Mehta, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at the age of 3. He said, "Even though you have a disability, that does not make you disabled. It gives you insight. It gives you knowledge. It gives you something that someone without that will never learn." We are here today to learn from you and to take inspiration from your insights so that we can continue to break down barriers for a more accessible and inclusive world for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you back, and it's, of course, so important. We have 100 countries here with us physically this year, 100 countries, which is incredible. I love that you call me Casey. I'm only ever called Caroline when I'm in trouble, so that was good news. Yeah, literally, my mother and my father. Our next speaker is Martin Essl, and he is our founder and the father of this huge Zero family. I want us all to remind ourselves the whole part of this Zero conference and this Zero family is building bridges and connections through genuine commitment and kindness. And there is not a kinder man. I would like you to put your heartful round of applause together to our founder, Martin Essl.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for your warm welcome. Your Excellencies, friends, and members of the worldwide Zero Project communities, ladies and gentlemen, and dear partners from the Zero Project, I bid you a dear, dear welcome. You have come from all over the world to be with us here in Vienna. I'm so happy to tell you that we have more than 1,000 attendees from 100 plus countries in this year's conference in the premises of the United Nations in Vienna, and to those joining us online, another big welcome from Vienna. If last figures are anything to go by, there will be more than 10,000 views of the live stream and the recording sessions to YouTube of the Zero Project conference. And I would love to express my gratitude at seeing so many familiar faces, but also seeing new participants. For all of you who do not see me, I'm Martin Essl, the founder of the Zero Project. I'm a white male in the early 60s with still some hairs, wearing glasses, having a dark suit with a green tie and a big Zero Project badge on the lapel of my jacket. As I do each year, I would like to point out one particular purpose of all our Zero Project conferences. We are the meeting place for our network to share and learn, and we are putting this year 77 innovative solutions on education, ICT, and inclusive arts from 43 countries, our Zero Project awardees, in the heart of all of that. These awardees created innovative solutions that have been chosen by you, the Zero Project community. And if you let me, I would also say that very personally, for me, the Zero Project family, which I'm so passionate about. And for those of you who are here for the very first time, this is an open, friendly, and welcoming meeting place for any and all sectors of society. From all in the world's continents, there are zero barriers. This place is here to share, learn, and connect, to inspire, to be inspired, and use it, and don't be shy. Being here with you all today, I feel excited drawing a picture of the evolution of the Zero Project with you, supporting a world with zero barriers. In 2013, we have been fortunate and blessed to build up a global innovation network of nowadays some 10,000 experts and organizations from 160 countries. Beyond that, we have been able to develop the Zero Project Conference, which is a hybrid today and is a launchpad of innovative, inclusive, impactful, and scalable solutions to support persons with disabilities globally. In 2014, the Zero Project Conference has been held at the UN office at Vienna. We are so thankful about this growing cooperation in the past decade. Thank you for that. In 2018, we started an accelerating program, which we renamed very shortly from Impact Transfer to today Zero Project Scaling Solution. And in the same year, we started company dialogues in Austria to support employment of persons with disabilities on a national scale. In 2019, we have been able to drive a regionalization strategy starting with the Zero Project Latin America partner, Fundación Descúbreme. They will host their very first in-person Zero Project Latin America conference in May this year. Carola and colleagues, we are really keen to travel to Santiago de Chile so soon now. In 2022, we have been able to effectively bring in corporations, investors, and funding agency through the Zero Project Technology Forum held in the Educational Center of UniCredit Bank Austria. For further amplifying the inclusive innovations that come through our innovative pipeline, that is the Zero Project call for nominations. Yesterday at the Tech Forum, 22 outstandingly innovative technology solutions presented themselves and networked with a high-level stakeholders. The Zero Project is thankful for the dedicated partnerships with UniCredit Bank Austria, Google, Microsoft, and the Seneca Trust. In 2023, it was the last year, we continued to regionalize the Zero Project to India. We are delighted to working with two strategic partners, Youth for Jobs and Enable India. Youth for Jobs will host the Zero Project conference in New Delhi in autumn. And Enable India has both joined the Scaling Solution program and our artificial intelligence initiative. We are also delighted to welcome SG Enable to the Zero Project conference. As our newest partner, we are setting up initiatives to bring Zero Project to Singapore and the whole region. And the CEO of SG Enable, Mrs. George Bonhu, is sitting next to me and will address you soon. So, welcome our friends and partners here in Vienna. Ladies and gentlemen, dear members of the Worldwide Zero Project Network, there is much to experience at the Zero Project conference. Let me pinpoint some highlights. We have some 100 sessions prepared for months by the Zero Project team, making them accessible in different ways, as you saw it in the video. We have supported highly scalable innovations in our Scaling Solution program with Inclusive Creation as our new partner to support 12 fellows from all continents. And thank you so much also to our partners, Fondation Descúbreme, GIZ, and Athos. We never had such a high percentage of awardees coming from low-income countries, especially from the sub-Saharan Africa. If you look at the agenda and speakers list, you will find extraordinary programs and projects and speakers in this year's conference. We are extremely proud that this conference features so many self-advocates and persons with life experiences. And let me just point out one person, Dr. Sanja Tarasac. She is deafblind woman, president of the Croatian Association of Deafblind Persons, who will speak during the award ceremony tomorrow. We have the award ceremony, and this is of course the highlight event of the conference, with all 77 awardees presented and honored in a fast-paced show tomorrow in the evening. We have innovative technologies and artificial intelligence solutions, and they are very prominent in this year's conference, also featuring our own Zero Project AI assistant that are building in the Artificial Intelligence Forum. Those of you who know me are aware how important the arts are to me and my family. I'm so happy that my daughter Isabella Essel will be leading the Essel Foundation's Inclusive Arts Initiative in the future. The Zero Project Conference is welcoming artists from around the world, from visual arts to media, fashion, dance, and music. I would like to point out the closing event of the conference, which will be a unique opportunity to experience the White Hands Choir from Japan. We were already enhanced yesterday in the Houses of Parliament in Austria. Then there are more than 20 exhibitors. There is a Japan forum. There is so much more. These are the young voices, and one of them are joining us already in the panel today. This truly would not have been possible with an amazing team, and thank you so much for that. I will point out you all, Michael, Robin, Anna, Wilfried, Isabella, Sumita, Sabine, Margaret, Maria Chiara, Xin, Michi, Karin, Katharina, Claudia, and Maria. Thank you so much for your big efforts. But it is also because of the outstanding cooperation to the United Nations. And I would like to especially thank Mrs. Garda-Wally, General Director of the United Nations office in Vienna, and the Executive Director of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, for the excellent working relation that we have developed over the past decades. Our personal thanks you for that. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen and dear friends from the Zero Project, with this in mind, let me end with an appeal and let us be inspired. As this wonderful and global family, let's embrace the human fabric. It's part of a beautiful canvas that is life. In the next 3 days, let's discover, listen, and see the opportunities of moving closer to a world with zero barriers together. Thank you so much and have a great time.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you so much, Martin. I can't believe the scale of the team, and we have over 1,000 people here with us. That was a big aim of ours, so huge congratulations as we extend the family. Okay, I have a boss over there, that Judith, who is saying myself and Annette need to keep moving this on time. So sorry for these brief little interludes, but I really want to bring onto the stage our next keynote speaker, and I hope I'm going to pronounce this right. Gyok Boon Koo, am I right? Okay. Mrs. Gyok Boon Koo, who is the Chief Executive of SG Enable in Singapore. And as she takes to the podium, I just want to say the work that has occurred in Singapore in SG Enable underneath your leadership in the last 10 years is absolutely extraordinary. And now coming together, the partnership between SG Enable and the Zero Project, we can do anything. You're very, very welcome. Round of applause.
Ms. Ghada Wali, Director General, United Nations Office, Mr. Martin Ezer, as founder Ezer Foundation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure today to be here and to speak at the 2024 Zero Project Conference. All of us in this room have put in tremendous effort to create a world without barriers, and I'm privileged to stand among you all. SG Enable first met the Zero Project back in 2019, when TechAble, an assisted technology center at the Enabling Village, jointly managed by SPD and SG Enable, was recognized as a Zero Project awardee for innovative practice. Since then, we have had the privilege of participating in and sharing at various Zero Project conventions, such as the Zero Project Policymaker Forum and the Zero Project India Conference. Last November, we organized the Zero Project and SG Enable Forum, where local and international innovators came together for a time of learning and networking. The forum also marked the start of our partnership with the Zero Project, as we work together to advance disability inclusion in Singapore and the Asia Pacific through sustainable and innovative solutions. Let me now share a video with some key highlights from the forum in Singapore. The full panel discussion videos are also available online, so you can catch up on them in your own time.
I am excited to leverage our synergies, bring our networks together, and better support each other in advocating disabilities inclusion and driving social innovation.
This is the next high-speed connection, working together on all ends to bring this to life for the benefit of all people with disabilities outside of Singapore who will get access to your expertise.
We were not chasing technology, we were chasing something bigger. It's about adopting a community-driven approach. When you're designing inclusive technology, it's not just a person with disability that benefits, it's the families behind them. It's societies that they belong to, communities that belong to.
So the engineers and the designers, they are not the experts. The users are the experts.
Creating different projects to focus on collective impact in these areas and also encourage synergies and partnerships between innovators.
Seek to flip the narrative. Instead of having them accommodate to us, how can we accommodate to them?
What's the disability experience and how can it be a generative process of creation?
Hope you enjoyed the video. As Dr. Fembek shared in the video, we have formed a new high-speed connection through which we leverage the Zero Project's global network to discover innovative solutions from other parts of the world and also share our expertise to benefit persons with disabilities on an international scale. Forging strategic partnerships and harnessing synergies is core to what we do at SG Enable, the focal agency and first stop for disability inclusion in Singapore. We were set up by the Ministry of Social and Family Development in 2013, and we enable persons with disabilities to live, learn, work, and play in an inclusive society. One of the key areas in which partnership comes to play is in promoting lifelong learning for persons with disabilities and the stakeholders who engage them in various domains of life. Through our Enabling Academy, a disability learning hub, we develop the Enabling Skills and Competencies Framework and rally multi-sectoral partners to provide persons with disabilities with diverse learning opportunities that support their personal growth and professional development. We also upskill their network of support, such as caregivers, employers, disability employment professionals, and equip training providers with disability and accessibility knowledge. Since its establishment in 2022, the Enabling Academy has worked with close to 100 training partners to develop more than 500 new accessible training programs. These programs have enabled over 5,000 persons with disabilities to further their skills in different domains, opening new pathways and opportunities to pursue their passions. Lifelong learning is not only important for persons with disabilities. Inclusive employers also need to constantly upskill and be better equipped to engage their employees with disabilities. And to encourage this, we launched the Enabling Mark in 2020, a national-level accreditation framework that benchmarks and recognizes organizations for their best practices and outcomes in disability-inclusive employment. Disability-inclusive training and integrated employment services for persons with disabilities are available at our Enabling Village. The village also serves as a showcase of how universal design and assistive technology can enable persons with disabilities to lead fulfilling lives, and it functions as a testbed for social innovation. The first inclusive preschool and community gym models were piloted at Enabling Village before subsequent versions and branches were set up around Singapore. The importance of partnerships cannot be underestimated. Disability inclusion, which we are all striving for, is not something that we can achieve in silo. It must be fueled and furthered by partnerships locally, regionally, and internationally. This is why this Zero Project Conference and its localized versions in Latin America, India, and Singapore are so important in catalyzing cross-border collaborations as well as the sharing of impactful solutions for persons with disabilities all around the world. Let us continue working together and press on to create a world without barriers. Thank you, and I hope you have a very fruitful session here at the Zero Project Conference.
Thank you so much. Gyakbu, thank you, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in Singapore. We are all welcome, are we? We are all welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're coming to our last speaker, and this has been a commitment of the Zero Conference and Project to ensure we have the next generation, the young voices, represented equally here at the table, not just for it to look good. And we are delighted to have Lydia Vlagsma from Liederen, is that right, from the Netherlands, which is an umbrella organization for disability organizations. And you are so welcome. You're here in your own right to participate. Make sure your voice is heard. Make sure we listen. A warm welcome, please, to Lydia.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to speak here today at the Zero Project Conference. It's really amazing to be here with so many professionals, advocates, and people with disabilities in the room. I think as a disability advocate, we're used to being the only person in the room who is thinking about disability inclusion. So it's really amazing for a change to be here with peers and allies and friends. I could talk to you a lot today about the research that we know about people with disabilities, and especially young people with disabilities. But I believe that what is much more informative and much more telling of the way we shape our society is individual lived experience. So that is what I would like to talk to you a little bit about today. For me personally, becoming chronically ill has really shaped my position and perspective on the world in more ways than I could have imagined. It affected my career path when I ended up in a diagnostical procedure during my first job. My employer ended my contract because, being unsure of my diagnosis and options for treatment, it was uncertain what my productivity would be like on the long term. It also affected my sense of self, shifting from living a relatively independent life to having to learn to ask for help with simple household tasks or for a seat on the bus. And from being an ambitious and overachiever student to having brain fog and not being sure of my future, feeling behind compared to my peers. And most importantly, it shifted my perspective on how much my environment and context really shapes and affects my options and ultimately the choices I make in life. These expectations also show how much of our daily life is shaped by what we consider normal and how narrowly this normal is defined. In my experience with invisible disability, this is especially interesting because there were no visual cues for outsiders to expect anything other than what they considered normal. Many young people with invisible disabilities struggle with having to explain their access or support needs over and over again. And when they do, they are often met with skepsis or even disbelief that their access needs are real, which leads to questions like, how do I prove that my energy level is low? How do I prove dizziness or low blood pressure to a fellow passenger on the bus? But also, why should I have to prove to others that I need certain accommodations? But then again, even in my own head, I have this little voice that asks, am I disabled enough? I consider this my own personal portion of internalized ableism, where I don't fully accept the way my body functions or has functioned in the past. And navigating this form of self-doubt can be really hard, even if you theoretically know that you have right to accessibility or accommodation. Young people are often still in the process of learning what their needs and rights are. And disability rights in particular are underrepresented in information and resources on this. I only realized years later that my employer was not in their right to end my contract a few years ago. And many students I speak to for my job are unsure whether they are in their right to ask for provisions at school, or if they should object to their school's call on a disproportionate effort when they apply for any accommodations. In my current job as a policy advisor in the field of education at IDER-IN, I see many barriers that students experience in vocational and higher education. The normal or ideal student is required to follow a strict schedule, a rigid schedule of when to apply, when to attend, and how to do examinations. And prejudice is also always around the corner. Do you really need time for your pain medication to kick in the morning, or are you just too lazy to get to class on time? Of course, staff or teachers who are asking this question or suggesting this question are implicitly referring to a norm of a good, punctual, energetic student compared to a lazy, difficult, disabled student. In addition to these organizational barriers, students also face social obstacles. An example of such an obstacle, or interpersonal ableism, is a student with chronic fatigue being called unprofessional by a teacher for not responding to an email within a few days. Disabled students report inappropriate jokes, invasive questions about their body, and even touching their wheelchair or body without consent. And this makes higher education a less safe environment for disabled students. As a result of these types of barriers, we know from research that students with disabilities in the Netherlands drop out of their studies more often than their non-disabled peers, despite putting in more hours on average into their studies compared to their non-disabled peers. Technological innovation can be a great solution to close some of these barriers and to make education more inclusive and more equal. Online education, for an example, has proven during the COVID measures that it can really help for disabled students to take part on an equal footing. Because it saves energy, because students can be flexible in how they schedule their time and set their own pace. However, it's important to note that students' experiences are also diverse. Some disabled students, for example, mention that a hybrid classroom creates new challenges for their sign language interpreter. The UNCRPD really refers to a crucial principle when you're thinking about this behind. And this means that when you are designing innovations or solutions, you are responsible for constant looking for more perspectives, more diverse perspectives of everyone who will be using your innovation or your solution. A continuous feedback loop should be in place, signaling problems and improving the accessibility of technology. Especially for young people who are stereotypically considered digital natives, it is really important to take digital access needs into account. As a chronically ill young woman, I am constantly in conversation with society's expectations and stereotypes. Abled or disabled, tech-savvy or not tech-savvy, normal or abnormal. This search looks different for every individual, but each individual story illustrates the norms we shape and reinforce together. It was an honor to share a bit about my personal experience with you today. But I hope in this conference, and after you return home, you remember to look beyond research papers, beyond policy proposals, for as many personal stories as you can. I hope you challenge yourself to think beyond normal and continue to look for new perspectives. Thank you.
You are very, very, very welcome, and you are more than enough. So you are so welcome. Thank you so much, Lydia. Okay, we are on time. I'm very excited about this. So before we finish our plenary, I want to invite up here to the floor, not to the stage, a man who's been with the Zero Conference for a very long time. It is Robert Zadrazil, the Chief Executive of UniCredit Bank Austria. Where are you? I can't see you, as you know. Where are you? There he is. Please put a round of applause together. We have you every year. It's wonderful to have you back. Your commitment, this man and their organization have done a huge amount consistently and constantly for over a decade in supporting the Zero Project and the Zero Conference, so we say thank you. And it's not just what you do for this conference, but what you do throughout your role in encouraging and investing in your team to make sure your bank is accessible and inclusive. But why do you keep coming back to do this? Like, why are you still here? What does this mean to you? Because it's a long time, and we are very grateful.
So thanks, Caroline. So also happy to be here again and see you again in Vienna, of course. No, I think there are several reasons and motivation to do it, and I think maybe I can really share at least some of those. One is, of course, we try to be the innovation leader also in this perspective. So therefore, it's about promoting innovation, impactful solutions for accessibility and inclusion. First, you mentioned UniCredit Bank Austria. We are part of a European group. We are a European bank, so we are always searching also, and this is also here yesterday in the Technology Forum and today in all the sessions, we try to emphasize scalability, so that, let me say, inclusive technological solutions can be reached by a wider range. Then, of course, it's also about responsibility as a corporation, I have to say. So we think that it's also our responsibility to foster this, to support this for the society. And last but not least, because we are here today and in the next days, I think this really in the meanwhile global platform, the Zero Conference, but as well also the Technological Forum, I think here gives us really valuable possibilities, not only for networking, but also to share experience, to get new innovations, to share best practice, to discuss also lessons learned, but also strategies with stakeholders, but also with other organizations, or in meanwhile with experts over all the globe. And I would say in a summary, it is all about that we really firmly believe the potential in these inclusive technological solutions for, I would say, a more inclusive future and a more inclusive society.
Well, thank you. You are also a Valuable 500 CEO and organization, so I know that you believe in collaboration and the power of collective, but it's very important when we have the leadership here that you are a CEO of an important business in Austria, but it's what it's saying to the rest of the world in a shadow and light of a leader. So thank you so much for your continued and constant support. Will we see you over the next few days in and out? We will. But I do want to acknowledge, as we just finish and close, the leadership of all of our speakers here today. Not one company, not one government, not one organization, not one young advocate, not one leader within the UN. It's too big, so it requires all of us to work together collectively, to join our heads and our hearts to make that world that we truly want to leave nobody behind possible. So a huge round of applause, please, to every single one of our openers, and thank you so much again, Robert. Okay, so I am delighted to say 11 o'clock. Okay, so what is happening now? We're going to play the accessibility video. You are now to move to your breakout rooms in M2 and M3 because we begin punctually and on time. As we do that, the accessibility video will be playing. You can get that on the Zero Project platform. Also, for anybody online, you can have audio description on channel 1. So I ask you all, please, to get up and leave to your room M2 and 3. We will be having inclusive education here, starting in about 30 seconds, led by the amazing President Bobby Cordano. So off you go to your rooms or stay here with us.
Welcome to the Zero Project Conference. Here are some of the accessibility features available to you. Orientation. The Accessible Conference platform provides practical information and all details about the sessions. On-site orientation is ensured via large prints and signage. Tactile flooring aids navigation to the conference rooms and other key spaces. A quiet room is located in close proximity to the conference rooms. Volunteers are there to support all ZeroCon participants. Conference sessions. All sessions of the conference have live captions in English and international sign interpretation. Find headsets for the induction loop at the reception desk. Selected videos shown in the sessions also have audio description. All presentations are available for download in an accessible format. For some sessions, graphic facilitation summary is also available. All sessions are live streamed and will be available on demand, free of charge. Find the videos on the Zero Project YouTube channel. Captions for the on-demand videos are available in more than 300 languages. If you require support at any time during the conference, or if you have feedback, speak to one of the ZeroCon volunteers. The Zero Project team wishes you an inspiring and enjoyable Zero Project conference.